To the Ministry of Communication now for that presser.
View is offering 4G services to the Slowusu-led ministry. I have inherited a sector after 8 years that has one SMP, one loss-making MNO, and another MNO that has been brought to his knees. 3 of the MNOs no longer exist, and the 4 BWAs are dead. The sector has experienced a sharp decline in growth and investment, and the regulator has been essentially on autopilot. It is therefore shocking to see proponents of the outgone government being the loudest trumpeters of the challenges that they have created. I am told it is a carefully curated art of dark politics called Jandam. It is an attempt to create a false narrative, not based on facts, but built on distortions and aimed at disseminating disinformation. Well, let me state, that scheme has failed. I have been at post for 4 months and have set to work vigorously in collaboration with the regulator, the CEOs, and other stakeholders to fashion a clear roadmap for the systemic resolution of the challenges we inherited. I'm not interested in cosmetic fixes that merely paper over the deep cracks and create an illusion of resolution only to push the can further down the road. I have learned from the former Communications Minister and now President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to embrace the challenges I am faced with, diagnose it rightly, and work towards a lasting solution. In my first month as Minister, I established a 23-member data prize with a clear 14-day mandate to develop a roadmap for implementation. The committee, in its report, distinguished the 3 areas that we believe need to be addressed for a holistic resolution of the matter: value, pricing, and quality. I referred the report to the regulator and tasked them with crafting regulatory policies that addressed the challenges in the sector. In my second month, the regulator, after engaging with the mobile network operators, came up with proposals that curated specialized bundle solutions for tertiary students and content creators. We immediately set out to build a dynamic database for the 2 demographics. I held a meeting with all vice chancellors in the country to design a framework that allowed the networks to identify which numbers were used by tertiary students. However, I took a policy decision to truncate the process and re-engage the stakeholders to achieve a broader solution that affected all Ghanaian data users. In my 3rd month, this engagement led to a focus on the structural challenges that the networks were facing in delivering their services. As indicated earlier, we had our eyes not just on the value and pricing of data bundles, but on the quality of service delivery. I am sure that even with increased value or reduced pricing, if quality is not improved, we will still have a sour customer experience. This led to the regulator commissioning and completing an assessment of a sample size of network performance in 3G and 4G service offerings across the country, the results of which I discussed with the CEOs and the media 2 weeks ago. In my 4th month, armed with a clear picture of where we are as a sector, I tasked the CEOs to work with me to improve the quality of service and to offer enhanced data bundles. Now let me be clear. My mandate as minister in a free market economy does not extend to interfering in the pricing by private sector investors. Just like the Minister for Trade does not have the power to direct GUTA members to drop their prices unilaterally, the Communications Minister cannot unilaterally direct price reductions. The immediate retort will be, and I am expecting it, but you accused your predecessor of being responsible for price increases. Yes, I did. The SMP toolkit is replete with several policy directions that are not direct price directives, but culminatively have an effect on pricing. So a decision, for example, that was taken by my predecessor to have CST collected forward would, for example, result in a pricing increase. So it was not a price directive, it was a policy directive that affects pricing. Another example will be the decision to declare MTN as an SMP and implement tariff rationalization, which resulted in an effective price increase by the operator, which the customers bore. However, these actions were not adequately and properly implemented, and they led to a situation where the SMP has grown by over 10% in market share accompanied by quality of service issues due to the network configuration and congestion. To address the quality of service issues, I presented a memorandum to the Cabinet of Ghana aimed at making spectrum available to Mrs. Scancom Ghana Limited and Ghana Telecommunication Company Limited. The process of the spectrum sale is scheduled to be completed by the end of the first week in July. In the case of Ghana Telecommunications Company Limited, known as Telecel, I have given additional policy approval for the regulator to grant a connecting entity license, enabling the operator to optimize service using the 2100 MHz spectrum at the disposal of NGIC. This should result in a significant improvement in the quality of service and customer experience in the coming weeks. I want to reiterate my commitment to an engagement-led style of leadership that involves all my stakeholders, listens to their challenges, and works to address them in a manner that benefits the entire ecosystem. We need intense competition in the sector, but it must be healthy and sustainable. I am committed to value-added data bundle offerings, and most importantly, these policy actions will culminate in price reductions in the medium to long term. However, the recovery from 8 years of mismanagement cannot be completed in 4 months. To this end, I have mandated that all operators make critical investments in their networks to improve quality over the next quarter, that is from July to September. The regulator will commence a rigorous quality of service assessment in the final quarter of the year, October to December. Reverend Franco, rigorous quality of service assessment. Defaulting operators will be sanctioned. I will also, at this point, commend the CEOs of the 3 telcos for their pledged commitment to collectively invest approximately $150 million in their networks between now and the end of the year to enhance quality of service, either by acquisition of spectrum or introduction or acquisition of new transmitters and equipment. At this juncture, I am pleased to announce that my engagement with the CEOs have resulted in the following specific measures, which are to take effect from Tuesday, 1st of July, 2025. Airtel Tigo Ghana, AT Ghana. A 10% increase in all data bundles currently offered by the network. Additionally, the 400 Ghana CD bundle, which currently offers 195 gigabytes of data, will now offer 236 gigabytes of data. Ghana Telecommunications Company Limited, Telecel. Also, a 10% increase in all data bundles currently offered by the network. Their 400 Ghana CD bundle, which currently offers 90 gigabytes, will offer 250 gigabytes from 1st of July. Scancom Ghana Limited, MTN. A 15% increase in all data bundles currently offered by the network. And I'm pleased to announce the restoration of the 399 Ghana CD bundle, which currently has been changed to the 350 CD bundle that offers 92.88 gig, will henceforth be reinstated to 214 gig for 399 Ghana CDs. I am aware these increases are going to come at considerable cost to the network operators. However, I am glad that our engagements and the consultations are bearing fruit for the Ghanaian people. To the CEOs, you have my gratitude. We have pledged our continued fidelity to the people of Ghana, who are the customers of the telcos. The implementation date of 1st of July is to allow the networks to recalibrate and reconfigure their systems to reflect the agreed upon value increases. The regulator, NCA, is directed to ensure they monitor strict implementations of this directive from 1st of July. Where failure applies, sanctions should be applied. The changes on MTN are steeper than the 2 other operators. but this is as a result of MTN's SMP status. The ministry is committed to continue to working with the regulator and MTN to constantly review their SMP status and make the necessary adjustments once we achieve the market realignment that we seek with these measures. It has also come to my notice that there is a public call regarding the arbitrary charge or change in data prices by the operators. Let me state for the record that the facts do not support that claim. The NCA has a billing verification system to access the billing integrities of mobile data services. The NCA reports that in the last billing integrity test conducted on mobile data bundles for MTN, Telecel, and AT in Q3 of 2024, it found that 1. All data bundles purchased during the test period were correctly credited and remained intact throughout their validity with no unexpected data losses. 2. Non-expiry data bundles did not expire. And 3. All unused data bundles were rolled over after resubscription. These are the facts from the NCA. The NCA is hereby directed to conduct a billing integrity test for data services and to provide quarterly reports to the ministry starting from Q3. The NCA must check data billing for scenarios involving popular apps and websites. And if operators are found to be billing inaccurately, appropriate sanctions should be applied. In conclusion, I am confident we will see further drops in the actual prices of the data offerings when the Finance Ministry takes action on the tax handles in the sector. I'm continuing my engagements with the Honorable Finance Minister to get his approval for the rationalization of some components in the tax buildup in the sector. If we are able to have a proper rationalization of the taxes, we should see a drop in the almost 39% tax buildup in the price of data in the country. If that drops, we would insist that the telcos pass that on to their customers. Another area I am vigorously pursuing is with the Minister of Energy and Green Transitions and the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. If we are granted a telecom tariff for the sector, it will lead to further price drops for offerings currently available. Because until they give us a telecom tariff, as the mining sector has, the cost of delivering the service will continue to be inhibitive. I remain committed to delivering on the mandate of the ministry as entrusted into my care by His Excellency the President. I will continue to engage robustly with stakeholders in the sector to protect their investments in Ghana and make Ghana a friendly destination for investments. But I encourage them to invest more. Ultimately, my heart is with the people of Ghana. I will serve you with heart, with sweat, and with blood. And we will fix the mess that I have inherited in this ministry. So help me God. Thank you for your attention, and God bless our homeland, Ghana. And so, I will field questions from the media. If there are any questions that anyone has on the announcements that have been made, I'll be willing and glad to take those questions. I'll take them in batches of 3. Yes, sir. Afternoon.
I want more clarity on the prices for the data packages for Telecel. I don't know whether I heard you correctly, but you said the 400 cities one is presently at 90 gig.
190. It's currently at 190 gig, and now they will offer 250 gig for the same price.
Will it not come at a cost to them?
Well, that's why I have not done this unilaterally. And that's why for those who have always said, just announce, just announce. I'm glad today you have all the 3 CEOs here. And we will not have an instance where you will see people either go to court to challenge the directive or go to the electronic tribunal. But we have worked together to get to this point. And that's the value of consultation. They say the patient dog, it's the fattest bone. And once again, I extend my gratitude to the CEOs for the work they have done over the last 4 months with me to get to this place. It's not the end of the journey. There's still a lot more we will do together for the Ghanaian people, to make their businesses profitable, but to make data accessible and affordable for the Ghanaian people. So yes, it will come at cost to them, but they also know that they have a responsibility to the Ghanaian people.
Yes, a follow-up. I mean, this one is a good idea, but there's a problem of poor network. Poor network. You can have 1,000 engagements, but if you don't have those network, you cannot use it. Telescope, for instance, which I believe government has shares in it, their network is quite bad. Very bad. I entered this building, I tried accessing the internet, and I was shocked. In the building of the communication ministry, and then there's no good network.
Well, that's why I just addressed, in my address, I spoke specifically to the Telecel intervention that we're making. Apart from the fact that we've offered both Telecel and, maybe because I use their official names, Ghana Telecommunication and Scancom. Scancom is MTN. Ghana Telecommunication is Telecel. We've offered them spectrum. Now, just so that we appreciate what it is, the ability to give you quality of service, the ability for you to be able to stream your data or your videos without them buffering, depends on the amount of bandwidth and spectrum, and the amount of bandwidth, and that also depends on the amount of spectrum that the telecom companies have. I know that both companies, including even AT, have been asking for spectrum for the last 4 years. They've not gotten it. But that's why I said it comes back to diagnosing what the problems are and fixing them. And that's why we're offering spectrum to MTN, we're offering spectrum to Telecel, and both companies, as a sign of their commitment to improving quality of service, have agreed to buy the spectrum that we're offering to them. Spectrum is also not very cheap. I must be honest about that. It's pretty expensive, but they are paying for the spectrum. Once we complete the deal by the first week of July, that will give them additional spectrum and bandwidth that they can then use to improve the quality of the network. Again, it is not a switch that gets turned on immediately they get the spectrum. They need to do investments in their network. They need to bring in new transmitters. They need to bring in new switches. They need to do configuration. And that's why we've given them a quarter, 3 months. So if you listened again in my speech, I spoke about the fact that we're giving them spectrum by end of July. First week of July, we expect that to be done. But we expect them to complete it by the deployment of that spectrum by end of Q3, which is September, July to September. And I've asked the regulator to immediately begin testing for the improvement in the quality of service in Q4, which is October to December. So yes, we will see. But again, in the specific case of Telecel, I again in my speech stated that I had given them approval, I had given the regulator approval this week for them to grant them a connecting entity license so that they can begin to offer improved services using the 2100 megahertz spectrum band that's held by NGIC. That again is policy direction we're giving to allow them be able to get access immediately to some spectrum that can improve their quality of service. But let me not mince words. 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting in this room with the CEOs and showed the quality of the network and the status of the infrastructure. By end of Q4, the NCA will bring us the quality of service report. We would again show it to the country, and if there are failings anywhere, we would apply sanctions. I hope we don't get there. Next question. Yes. Kindly identify yourself. You can speak, but kindly identify yourself so the room knows who is speaking.
Thank you very much. My name is Samuel Ouna. I work with Tech 24. I'm wondering why Telecel, AT didn't get some of the spectrum. Maybe I'm a manager can come from the end. Then, secondly, if I heard you rightly, MTN is supposed to reduce prices by 15%, while the two others are supposed to reduce prices by 10%. I'm a bit confused about how come the SMP is rather reducing prices at a bigger margin than the other two.
All right. I'll start with your last question. I did not say that they should reduce prices. Let's be very clear. My directive is loud and clear. I have not asked them to reduce prices. I have asked them to increase value offerings. There are two different things. And if you again listen to my speech, I said that the committee that had the 14-day mandate identified 3 key areas: value, price, quality of service. So we've not, and I've stated that prices will drop when we see the movement at the finance ministry on the tax handles, and when we see movement at the energy ministry on the telecom tariff. What we are doing as a regulator and as a policy driver right now is on value. We will deal with value and quality of service. Now, why is MTN doing more? Because if you realize, when they were declared SMP about 4 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, in 2020, so 5 years ago, the ministry directed a 15% increase in their effective rates. So basically, we've reversed that. Because if we had done 10%, they would still effectively have been higher than where they were previously. And I'm minded by the fact that today, as a significant market player, whatever we do on that network affects almost 76% of all mobile network users. And so, as a sign of our commitment to understanding and dealing with the challenges Ghanaians are facing at this point in time, we've taken that decision. It means a lot more loss as well, don't forget, for the SMP, because then they are carrying a lot more burden. Because if you give more value, it's cost to the network. So if they are the SMP and you are imposing a certain, in quote, levy of some sort, they should carry more than the other two networks. Because if they carry less or the same, then it means that you are not being fair to the other networks that don't have the same market size. And that's why we've created this intentional arbitrage between the reductions. The other question about why 80 did not get. Do not forget that 80 is a merger between Tigo and Airtel Ghana. And both of them had spectrum holdings which got consolidated. At this point in time, 80 is the only company, MNO, that doesn't offer 4G. The ministry is currently in the process of restructuring 80. There's been a public announcement of conversations going on of a possible relationship with a private investor. And so it is important that you consummate that process before you begin the conversation about any spectrum addition, because then the new partners will want to do an assessment of what the asset holdings are today. Those asset holdings should not be fluid relative to spectrum. It should be definite. We finish the negotiations, and then we can always look at what we will do for 80. But don't forget that at this point in time, 80 belongs to the government of Ghana 100%. And like I keep saying, all options are still on the table for us relative to 80 and what we will do going forward. Thank you. Yes.
Hello, Mr. My name is Parker. I work on your party. Some of the telcos, you know that they give you the right hand and take the left hand. So in this case of reduction, are we not going to see any increase in the airtime usage, or still going to maintain?
Well, are you talking of voice or data?
Voice.
This directive does not affect voice.
Yeah. So my question is, now that you're talking about reduction, are they not going to increase?
Okay, so let me be clear. All the telcos, by regulatory practice, have to notify the regulator of any price increases. And at this juncture, let me just say that Telecel did some increases on their fixed broadband, not all their mobile data services, only fixed broadband. An increase of, I think, 20 cedis and 30 cedis in some cases. The regulator has been informed, and as the ministry, we have indicated to the regulator to go back to the MNO to have a conversation on the reversal of that increase, because in this day and age, our focus is on reduction. And so the operator and the regulator will have conversations about how to walk back even those 20 and 30 CD increases. And so that should give you assurances that the regulator will not. And again, in my speech, I referenced it when I said that I asked them to do a test of all effective rates, not just data but voice, to ensure that no telco would price above what is permitted or what has been approved by the regulator. When they do the test and it is found that any of the regulators, any of the operators is charging beyond the approved rate, there'll be sanctions for it. And trust me, we will come down hard on that. But so far, in the 4 months I've engaged with the CEOs, I'm sure and confident that they will not act in a manner that is arbitrary and without recourse to the regulator. Any other questions, please? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there are no further questions, I want to thank you, our brothers and sisters from the media, the CEOs, directors, chief director, the ministry, CEOs, the regulator. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Well, that was a press conference that was addressed by Sam Nate-George, the Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation. So he has said that there's going to be an implementation of data increase starting from Tuesday, July 1. So the value offerings, the implementation of data increase in value offerings. So AT is going to increase their data value offerings by 10%, and their 400 cedis bundle will also be increased. When it comes to Telecel, they're also increasing their value offerings, their data value offerings by 10%. And the 400 Ghana Cedi bundle will also be increased. And MTN will increase their data value offerings by 15%, and their 399 Ghana Cedis bundle will also be increased. He says that he has also sanctioned the NCA to conduct a quality of service report from the various telcos, and if anyone is found wanting, they will be sanctioned. So that was a presser from the Ministry of Communication, essentially telling us by Tuesday, 1st of July, an implementation of data increased value offerings across all the telcos here in the nation. I'm sure we'll all be looking forward to that. But we go back to regular programming now. Keep watching Channel One TV and follow our social